Star Wars Rise of Skywalker is now 2 months in the past, but to many, it still represents an open wound, although for different reasons, depending on who you ask. If you were to ask Disney, I would guess the candid answer they would never say out loud is that Rise of Skywalker clearly demonstrated that they are not infallible.
Our power comes from the perception of our power. Do you understand the damage this has done?
Case in point, the entertainment media will even now do something they haven't done for the better part of a decade. Point out the chinks in Disney's armor, like Forbes did in the article aptly titled, "Star Wars may never recover from the damage done by Rise of Skywalker." In this editorial, I will address this article, and what it got right and what it got wrong, before addressing the recent news that Kathleen Kennedy was kicked off the set of The Mandalorian Season 2, as well as the most recent rumors of what the future might hold for Star Wars. If you like the content of this video and others we do like it, then leave a like and subscribe. And in the process, make sure to indicate that you want notifications on all videos. We'd also greatly appreciate if existing subscribers will take a moment to check that you are still subscribed as well, and that you too get notifications on all videos. With that out of the way, let's dive in. To put things into their proper context, what this article is an editorial, much like this video. This then is Scott Mendelson breaking ranks and letting everyone know that in his opinion, Star Wars will never recover from Rise of Skywalker. Little in the way of research or statistics is cited. This is a pure opinion piece, in principle no different from any other opinion piece that anyone can put out there through the medium of their choice. In this case, however, the medium is Forbes, one of the major industry publications that any and all executive and producer will, or at the very least should, read daily. Opinion piece or not, this is Forbes flat out stating that Disney have damaged the Star Wars brand. That is a PR nightmare. Disney knows full well themselves what a shambles Star Wars is behind the scenes, but they don't want the rest of the world to know, and they do. In the months leading up to the movie's release, numerous publications, even mainstream ones, started pointing out the same cracks in the armor as world-class bullshitters, Doomcock, Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, and ourselves among others have pointed out the past couple of years. Audiences being put off by the ideology baked into the movies, the collapsing toy and merchandise sales, the disappointing park attendance, the never-ending production troubles. What this article shows is that it's not over. It doesn't matter that the movie is out now. It doesn't matter that by any conventional measure, it did good. It doesn't matter that The Mandalorian was the biggest series in the world for a while there, or that audiences, by all accounts, actually liked it. On film, Star Wars still dropped the ball, and the stink of that will stick with them forever. Disney were revealed to not be the unstoppable juggernaut they were thought to be.
If you can make God bleed, then people will cease to believe in him.
Make no mistake about it, this is bad news for Kathleen Kennedy too. Not much space is allocated to her in the article, but she is well known to be in charge of Lucasfilm. And all the production trouble that has happened on her watch is getting harder and harder to ignore. Articles like this one right here are, however tacitly, a critique of her as well. That being said, I do take issue with some of the content in the Forbes article. Scott Mendelson hates Rise of Skywalker, and does so over what many in the fan community considers to be its most redeeming features, namely how it trashed The Last Jedi. Like many of his peers inhabiting the same bubble where identity politics is all the rage, Mendelson was one of those who couldn't praise The Last Jedi enough. In my opinion, he is too blinded by his love for The Last Jedi to admit that it was it, not Rise of Skywalker, that broke Star Wars. It is easy enough to argue that this is the case. Look at how massive The Last Jedi opened. Just 30 million shy of the record-breaking opening weekend of The Force Awakens. That opening is indicative of the goodwill left over from The Force Awakens. Then look at how The Last Jedi finished its run, an incredible 700 million below The Force Awakens. That is indicative of how audiences responded to the movie itself. To put it bluntly, it utterly collapsed after its huge opening. No matter how painful it may be to admit to themselves and others that The Last Jedi represents the point where the arrow started pointing downwards for Star Wars, that is exactly where the rot became manifest. According to Mendelson, Lucasfilm and Disney will still have to cope with the fact that they botched the endgame to the Skywalker saga. I disagree. Lucasfilm and Disney will have to cope with that they botched the middle part of the sequel trilogy. The endgame was doomed once they did. Case in point, Mendelson referred to the premature death of Carrie Fisher and said, Fisher's death, by the way, would have led to major revamps for Colin Trevorrow's discarded Duel of the Fates screenplay, even if he had stuck around. Even with that caveat, the final product still felt damn well unfinished. Funny you should mention that, but neglect to mention that the only reason Colin Trevorrow left was because Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson refused to change The Last Jedi in light of Carrie Fisher's passing. I've previously argued why their failure to do so, given how easily it could have been done, is the single greatest mistake done to Star Wars on Disney's watch. Check the link in the description for that video. Point is, that mistake too is attributable to The Last Jedi. It wouldn't have mattered if Colin Trevorrow or someone else made the movie in the end. The mess left from The Last Jedi could not be fixed in one movie. But while I disagree with Mendelson on where they stepped wrong, the general point still stands. They did step wrong, and they will always have to contend with that. So where do they go from here? The extended Skywalker saga dropped the ball in the final inning, and that ball can never be undropped. Best that can be done, in my opinion, is tell a completely different story, have that be compelling, and then we can kind of pretend that this final inning never happened. What will help, though, is a very public change of faces. On February 18th, our good friend Dictor van Doomcock published a video with new information which was consistent with our earlier reporting that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni appear to be taking over Star Wars, and which added the new unverified rumor that Kathleen Kennedy had been kicked off of the set of The Mandalorian Season 2. While I cannot either support or debunk that final rumor, I will say it certainly sounds plausible, for everything I hear suggests that she is indeed in the process of being shown out the door. Furthermore, I am hearing the rumors that Lucas may be coming back do have merit, and I would speculate that might have something to do with Kathleen Kennedy allegedly being evicted from the set. Kennedy has previously spoken of her friendship with Lucas, but from what I'm hearing, they were never that close. Not even before she used his life work as a venue to promote her personal politics and ideological conviction. I very much doubt they are on any friendlier terms right now, let's say. For now, though, do you agree with Forbes that Star Wars may never recover from the damage inflicted by Rise of Skywalker? Or could it be that it didn't further damage anything The Last Jedi hadn't already broken? Be sure to chime in and let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments.